IG. Whole lot of IG shit.
Yo, what's up? It's Ben Scarborough, and you already know I'm sitting here in the secret room at Third Eye Collective with the man with the sound in his hands, Vitillaz.
Yes, sir. What's going on, man?
Oh, it is a lovely, lovely Mother's Day here this
It
Sunday.
sure is.
Did you call your mom this morning?
I did speak to her,
Cool, man.
so that was good.
Social media is just nothing but moms today.
Going crazy.
Some of y'all got some beautiful mothers out there. I'm just saying, shout out to
Gotta show
moms
all the appreciation.
all around the world.
Get all the appreciation.
Moms hold it down harder than anybody that I know.
Absolutely.
Gosh, shit,
For always
man.
and ever.
So yeah, man, I got a question for you.
I'm sure you got a lot.
You're stranded on a desert island,
Okay.
but it's okay. You want to be there. People know you're there.
All right.
And you've got power. And you've got data, but you've only got enough data to download one battle royale game. Which one are you downloading?
I mean, it's not like I've played that many, but I mean,
Because there are a lot.
yeah, there are a lot. I mean, but yeah, of course, right now it'd have to be Apex.
Okay.
Definitely Apex Legends.
Big Apex.
I mean, in terms of battle royales, I've only really played Fortnite and Apex Legends, and
That's like the top two right now.
yeah,
Right?
I'm not really crazy Call of Duty guy.
Blackout. The Blackout mode.
Yeah, they're great games. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not crazy about them. I guess, I go through these weird video game phases, and I guess when I kind of started getting into PS4 stuff, like I kind of slowly crept back into shooters. Like I was playing,
Okay.
I was playing Paragon, and that was kind of like
That's a
a
MOBA.
mixed MOBA.
It's
yeah,
like a third person.
Yeah. So then I kind of crept my way back into like first person shooting stuff, considering I used to play Counter Strike like back in the day. So
Okay. Actually, Paragon.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Paragon?
Man, it's like, Fortnite came out and then it slowly started taking over. And I guess somebody over there at the office was like, man, this Paragon game that you guys keep fucking up, check it out. I'm going to take all your resources and I'm going to put it on Fortnite because this was making money for me. I mean, it was just a smart business move and I feel them. You know what I mean? And so I think it was a combination of things, mainly because, Epic Games did pull the developers off. But, I mean, Paragon was in the decline, I think, for the most part. There was a lot of diehard fans that kind of stuck with it. But, I mean, they kind of did. The game just kind of went veering away from what people thought it should be. I don't know who the hell they were listening to.
Were you playing it right up there towards the end?
Yeah.
What were those last days of the servers like?
Yeah, I try to explain it to people because it's wild. It's like this. It got like so like outlandish. Because people knew they couldn't get banned or anything, so people were just fucking like trash talking everybody to like the
Okay.
fullest extent. Games
Ban me. I dare you.
Yeah. Ban me, report me, bitch. Motherfuckers were feeling really brave. And since there was like no maintenance, like the game was crashing like multiple times a day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you were really on it, yeah, it's wild, and it's kind of sad to see where it went to. You know what I mean? Such a good game, such a great idea, and it, they were executing properly for a while. And then I don't know what happened. I guess they changed the map, which was cool. And then and then what really bugged me the most is like towards the end, like there was some updates that needed to be made to certain characters. Like some characters were still really OP.
Okay.
So like here we are in this outlandish, era
Wild
where like,
West.
yeah, people are picking like, all carries on the team, like
Okay.
like anything and everything was going down because people knew like the game was going away. So people were just out there having fun.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I can't be mad because man, I gotta enjoy while it lasts.
And that really speaks to like a community, like a diehard community around a game, Like everybody's just kind of coming together like, damn, we bonded because of this game. And
Yeah.
now, did you meet anybody on Paragon that you guys eventually went and played Fortnite with? Or anything? You got some internet friends?
I think I honestly started playing Fortnite because I didn't of course Paragon was gone. I had a select few amount of people I played Paragon with. It wasn't a super popular game, but it was popular. And I know some of my other buddies in real life were playing Fortnite. People here were talking about a little bit. So I was like, at a time when people knew that Paragon was closing, some people jumped ship like, fuck this shit. There's no point in me continuing to play this game. So I think I had looked at it around that time and I was like, this looks dumb. I'm not playing this shit. And when Paragon ended, you know, I was out of options. You know what I mean? In terms of me, I don't dish out a lot of money, you know, annually for video games. You know,
Okay, yeah.
considering there's few ones like I don't have like if I have like one game that's good that's free or that I have already that's cool with me,
You'll just grind it.
I'll just grind it. Like I don't need 1,000 games. You know, I don't need
sure.
to have the latest game that always comes out. Like oh, you know, like I've seen how I can easily get tired of a game because no matter how good it is.
Yeah.
So I just you know, why not get a free one and try it out, see how you like it. You know, you want to put a little money into it? Yeah. You know, I put a little money into Fortnite, put a little money into Apex because, I mean, it's the same money I would have spent kind of like buying a bunch of other games. But I spend less because I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
How much would it cost me to buy like 4 or 5 games? Probably like $200, $300.
Yeah,
you know?
it gets up there.
I'll put a
pretty
little,
quickly.
you know, little 40, 50 bucks into a free game and have some fun with it.
That's what's up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, MOBAs. Did you try out any other MOBAs besides Paragon during that time, and just Paragon was the one that fit for you?
No, I came from World of Warcraft.
Okay.
And Warcraft 3, if I'm correct, right? That was
Yeah.
like the nicest, like before World of Warcraft was like Warcraft 3, StarCraft, and then World of Warcraft. So one of my studio clients actually, he came recording, and you know he was like a gamer too, and he was working on this project. Shout out Sammy E one time. He told me about it. He's like, yo, there's this free game called Paragon. This is just fucking crazy. You know, at that time, Sammy Black had, you know, he was showing me Overwatch. I was like, yo, this is pretty nuts. And he had me, you know, playing Overwatch for a hot little minute. So then he's like, it's like Overwatch, but mixed with some like League of Legends and Warcraft shit. And I was like, this sounds like my game. You know what I mean? Like something that's like, you know, kind of shooter based, but has depth. You know what I mean? That's not just, hey, I'm out here blowing people's heads off.
There's like a meta game going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was like, you know, there's like a card system and, you know, skills, and you're upgrading it per match. And, you know, it was really cool. So I tried it out, and I was like, wow, this is kind of like a lot to take in at once. And it's like 45-minute matches, you know, which is kind of lengthy.
Heavy time investment.
But I kind of stuck with it for a little bit. You know, I just needed something to do in between like music production and engineering and all the music shit I had going on. Something to just kind of, you know, shoot the shit with. And I stuck with it, and I was like, wow, like I really like this game because, you know, it can be very straightforward, but it also requires like a good amount of critical thinking, you know, in terms of like, you know, okay, what skills are you going to take? How are you going to load your shit out? What position do you want to play? How are you going to play that position?
Yeah.
So it's crazy how where games have gotten to where it's really considered like a sport, you know. I'm sure in some people's minds it would never be considered a real sport, but I guess the relationships are starting to be seen by the masses, and people are starting to say, okay, you know, this is not something that's for everybody, but it should be appreciated to a certain extent and acknowledged.
Agreed.
And I think that's pretty cool, you know, because some of the shit that is done in the video games world is pretty amazing considering how far it's come, you know.
Just the fact that we can have like 100 people on a server at once going ape
Absolutely.
shit.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's crazy. Just some of the skills, some of the stuff these guys do takes, you know. So to each their own. It's pretty dope.
When you're not gaming, when you're clocked in, you do a lot of music production, right?
A lot, yes.
Now, would you say that you're more on the pre-production or the post-production side of music?
I'm there through all the steps almost.
Okay.
I'm not there before, and I'm there a lot after. You know, some of my personal stuff, I'm there, you know, right from where the seed is planted. You know, a lot of my studio clients, I'm there just as like
to guide the record a little bit.
guide the record, you know, just, you know, save the record, clean the record, make a bit like everything and anything. You know, I've been through so many situations musically where, you know, vocals were recorded bad, or the beat sucks, or it needs to be mixed, it needs to be mastered. Like,
you guys hear that?
I've been through it all.
This episode is brought to you by Vitillaz.
Yeah.
In fact, this is going to be the first episode that we've done that has been, before it hits you guys' ears, it's been run through RX-7. He has shown us the beauty of post-production, and so every Secret Room episode going forward is going to have the
pristine
audio quality.
Yeah, you know, and talking about that's interesting because not everybody listens for that kind of stuff, but the humans, they absorb it in a certain way when it's like a little bit, you got the little extra finesse on it, a little extra quality on it. You know, I personally listen unintentionally most of the time, very closely to things like that. Like if I'm laying in bed watching a YouTube video at night and I hear a vast difference between, whatever is, the background music and like the lead vocal of like what the guy is saying, or like two people were talking and someone's level was here and the next person's like down here. I'm like, it kind of throws me off because it does. It makes it a slightly less pleasant listening experience, and it's unintentional. Yeah. I try to be very passive on some certain things like that and just enjoy it for what it is. But I mean, it's kind of my job to detect those imperfections. Yeah. So my brain is always like in that mode. Yeah. Everywhere and anywhere.
I'm the same way about video editing. They said they call editing the invisible art, because if it's good, you're not supposed to notice it, right? You're not supposed to notice good editing, but it's so easy to notice bad editing. Yeah. And that's
funny because one of my mentors, he pointed something like that out to me one time. He was like, because I was having the same conversation about how I noticed these like imperfections and just audio work everywhere. And he's like, he has big producer friends, video producer friends. So they would go see a movie and then they would be like holding their head half the times because they would see certain imperfections in the editing, or like, the girl was eating a bowl of pasta and the camera pans away, and when it comes back and it's a different things of that sort. Like they would pick out so many of those things in big productions, and I never really,
the average person
just doesn't, and I guess we're all average in different fields. Thinking about it now, because I'm it's funny, like I'm listening and then but you're watching, and I'm just like, no, and you're like, no, it's all good, and you're like, no, and I'm like, oh, I don't see what's wrong.
There's so many cooks in the kitchen on any video production sometimes that it could be anybody else, but ultimately it all falls on the director. If it's a flop, it's the director that's taken the.
That makes you think about like, what about, okay, like some of the earliest animated movies, right, or like that had a lot of 3D production. Like I wonder, like how many people,
like A Bug's Life.
Yeah, like what. This probably looks like a real, like render farms and stuff like that. Like I wonder, like there's like 1,000 people in the office just like slaving away at one scene. Like I can't imagine the time that goes into this stuff. When the technology was new.
So there's this amazing story about the time this IT guy deleted Toy Story 2 months before it was supposed to come out from Pixar's servers. Yeah. So
wow,
this is one of the it's since been written about in like Pixar history and whatnot, and for a while it was under wraps because it was such an embarrassing moment. But I think after 10 years they were like, okay, we're going to tell you guys that Toy Story 2 was almost deleted. So what happened was they were animating Toy Story 2 on a server, multiple servers, and then they had all the 3D assets on another server. They weren't linked together. And the idea was that all the assets, everybody would sit down at their computer and log into the server where the assets were and pull from it, and then they would make little temporary copies of whatever they were working on. But ultimately, they would push everything back to the master server.
Right.
And some IT guy came in there and punched in a code in the Unix terminal, and it just started to just format the drive that had all of Toy Story 2 on it, right? So they're sitting there in the IT department, and phone calls are coming in like, hey, we can't access Buzz Lightyear or this or that. Like, there were actually people animating Woody, and then like his hat would disappear and like his rope would disappear. That's and crazy. The scene would they'd still be animating the scene, but then like the dinosaur would disappear. And they basically had to do a CPU halt code that would stop the server from being erased. But it was already too late. The movie had pretty much been like, I think they said something like 87% of the whole movie had been deleted. And this was like, then they called an emergency boardroom meeting, and all the people from Pixar were sitting down, and they were like, what are we going to do? And somebody had remembered that there was a woman who was on parental leave because she had just had a newborn, and she was at home working on the movie, and she had made a 1-for-1 copy of the whole server.
Wow.
On her iMac. You know the big bulb iMac? The OG one?
Yeah.
So the guy from the IT department and the head of the animation department hopped in a car and drove to this woman's house, and they put the iMac in the back of this car, covered it up with all these blankets, and drove it back to Pixar, and were able to recover the movie.
That is insane.
Yeah. It was never going to happen again because, and actually everybody in the industry was able to learn from that internally,
Yeah, and you would think they wouldn't let somebody go with that kind of asset.
Oh, to their house?
Yeah,
I mean, you got to be contracted up, NDA.
Yeah, all the way, we're coming for you, FBI style.
But if it wasn't for this woman on maternity leave, then Toy Story 2 would have either had to never come out or been pushed back a year. It wouldn't have made that holiday.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I think about that kind of shit all the time. Just you never really know what somebody's going through when they're breaking new ground like that, when they're innovating. And this is Toy Story 2, so this is 1999. This is only 4 years after the first film.
Only so much technology that, can do that sort of work at that time.
Mm-hmm. What are some innovations that you've seen in the music or in the audio industry that have just been wow?
Man, really, the whole audio scene, as a whole, has come so far. It is incredible. We could talk about this forever, but I mean, just
what are some things that have been in your face? Like RX-7 for me was
that's a great one. Isotope, their products are insane. So RX-7, you can take, it's like I told you, it's like an audio Swiss Army knife, but an alien version that's super futuristic, and you can take songs and extract acapellas out of them, almost flawlessly. There'll be a little bit of artifacts and stuff, but it's enough for you to crank out a remix or whatever. You can, it's literally, it's Photoshop for audio. Someone, let's say a dog comes in here and freaking barfs on the carpet, and it gets all on the mic and you hear it and all that stuff, what we were talking. I know it's a crazy scenario, but you can go in there, see in the audio. I'm not talking about a waveform. I'm talking about this thing looks like a night vision
nightmare.
What do you it looks like an infrared picture of the audio, and you can just extract it from it. But the audio scene as a whole, I mean, you can literally, open up your laptop, and I've done this. You can open up your laptop, have an idea in your head, press record on the laptop, record the idea through the mic on the damn laptop, even if it sounds shitty, and you could take that, you can make an instrument out of what you recorded. You can make drums out of what you recorded, depending on how you process it. You can literally just wake up, get out your bed, open up your laptop, and crank out ideas immediately. Versus back in the day, you have to set up the studio time. Everything was working in audio. Not everything was synced up because, the setups were very hybrid, where certain things had to get tracked into audio. Then you work off of that. So we've come so far, and that leads me to think too, singers back in the day, there was no auto-tune, things of that sort.
Oh yeah, you had to actually sing.
Yeah, everybody had to be on point like a motherfucker. And there was only so many motherfuckers because not everyone had access. It's now, man, you got these producers, they're in the trenches in the hood, man, little speakers cranking out some crazy ass beats, you know what I mean? Because they're on it, and they're flexing their muscles in that shit, and it's like a gift and a curse. The game has gotten very saturated. There's people everywhere that does everything, and which is cool because it's a bigger community. Like I said, there's so many people doing it now. You have to really be special to really cut ahead of everybody else or do something that somebody else is not doing, and that's hard to do nowadays.
Why Atlanta, specifically?
Why Atlanta what?
Why are you here?
I am here because, shout out Mother's Day. My great mother made the great decision to move here when I was in high school because, living up north is expensive. And, she wanted a better life for us. And, at that time she had met my stepfather. And, she decided to move us all down here just to be a little bit more comfortable. She wanted to be with somebody. And it just made sense overall. At that time, Atlanta wasn't the crazy, I call Atlanta a media capital now, not just a music capital.
Agreed.
Because it's just become, thank God I don't know what law was it that passed, whatever, but allowed the film companies to come here and do their thing. That, that's awesome. But anyways, when I got here, Atlanta wasn't going crazy with the music like that. I had never heard of crunk music. Then called crunk. You know, now we call it trap, but then it was called crunk. If I'm right, you know, crunk music.
Hey man, get crunk, get buck.
And I had heard Ludacris when I lived in New Jersey, but it didn't come across to me as like, hey, this is like
down south.
Yeah, this is
dirty
like,
south.
Exactly.
It was
so
just hip-hop.
So I get to high school here, and you know, people be like, yo, you fuck with 3-6? And I'm like, what? Like, you fuck with 3-6? I'm like, 3 what? Like 3-6 Mafia? I was like, what are you talking about, bro?
Oh.
Yeah, he's like, you know, 3-6 Mafia, and like, you know, I heard 3-6 Mafia, I heard Crime Mob, you know, I heard Project Pat, UGK, all that shit, and I was just like, yo, this is insane. Mm-hmm. You know, and I loved.
They're making it on a drum machine.
Yeah, you know? And I've always been a lover of music, all genres. You know, growing up, I loved rock, I loved hip hop. You know, I was listening to Linkin Park, I was listening to Jay-Z, I was still listening to my Latin stuff, my reggaeton, my merengue, my bachata. Excellent. I was listening to like heavy metal music because I was a musician and I could really like appreciate it, understand what was going on. So it's like they just hit me with a wave of like, this is shit you never heard before.
Yeah.
Like not like, yo, here's a new hip hop artist, or like here's like this is like
a sound
production. Exactly. Like this is a whole new sound you've never heard before. And I was just like, this shit is crunk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
that
you know,
Memphis, north.
Man, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Changed my life low key because it's just like it just opened up a new path in my brain. Like, oh, here's like all this new inspiration. So it's pretty sick.
Have you heard Tommy Wright III?
No.
He's a cat out of Memphis, and he kind of predates Juicy J.
Okay.
And Project Pat a little bit. I want to say by a few years. Yeah, he has that sound, that 3-6 sound, and a lot of his material was released on cassette tape.
Real OG then, yeah.
And it's like, if you didn't get his cassette tape, then you got a dub of a dub of a dub of a dub. Yeah. And so there's a lot of like Tommy Wright's music that just is not the original master tapes and stuff like that. Wow. And I'm going to have to forward you some of his music, but it's that sound, but it predates them, and it totally inspired them because it's going on in their city. And they've big upped Tommy Wright III, but he has this like Jerry curl. No, a perm. He's just got a perm. and he is just like a boss, and it comes through in his music. And it's something about that lo-fi cassette tape sound kind of translated into that early 3-6 like Hypnotized Minds stuff. Yeah. And man, it's right up your alley. You got to check it out.
I will check that out. I mean, I felt like at that time, you know, I was listening to like a lot of rock music, and I think 3-6 had that, I don't want to call it a demonic sound, but it does kind of fucking
it's
sound
dark.
like that. Yeah.
It's definitely darker.
I hate associating, I don't want to say hate. I hate associating darker music automatically with like satanic shit. Yeah. Like I can't stand that shit. Yeah. Like I understand like this shit sounds fucking like hell's busting the fuck open. You know what I'm saying? But I don't relate to it in that manner. Nor do I want to push that kind of energy along. I take it in as for music. Yeah. No matter how fucking angelic it sounds or how demonic it sounds, I'm like, yo, this shit is hard or it's not fucking hard. Like I really don't give a fuck. So, you know, 3-6 had that very, you know, haunty, you know, fucking lights out, demonic kind of like real dark trap sound. And I think that's why it resonated a lot with me, because I was like, wow, I like this energy. You know what I mean? Shit's high energy, you know?
Remember that time that 3-6 Mafia won an Oscar?
Was it for I Gotta Stay High? Was it for that song? An Oscar? You mean a Grammy or?
No, it was an Oscar.
For, because they were on a show or something?
No, they, Hustle and Flow, they wrote the song, what's the song from Hustle and Flow?
Shit, bro.
You know the movie I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
There's a song in the movie that they wrote called It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp. That's the song that they make, right? Yeah. So they have writing credits on it, and it was at the 78th Academy Awards, they won for Best Original Song.
Good for 3-6, man.
Yeah.
I never knew that, but they definitely deserve that.
If you go back and watch the MTV Cribs for Juicy J, the sequence where he walks over to his like fireplace mantle and he's like, "Shut the fuck up!" You know,
that's classic. I'm talking about that. There was like, I don't know what show they were on, but a couple years ago, I know I was watching a show where like this was I guess around the time where I got us if I came around, and
like
that
2006-ish.
Yeah, that was like almost the end of the ringtone era, and I remember they were like losing their shit because T-Mobile was taking a song and cut them their check for their percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Because that ringtone sold like so many millions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That market was crazy back then.
Yeah.
Like
the Laffy Taffy.
Yeah, like, man, like just the ringtone market in general is like you remember sometimes you had to pay more to get like the song and not the fucking MIDI remake, you know? But even though they were all selling, you know? That's wild.
Is it not there anymore? That market is not as big as it used to be or something? Because you can just make any song your ringtone right now?
Exactly.
Okay, they
good
give
old
the power
technology.
away.
You know, they say that the handle for the axe comes from the fore itself. So
that's like truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah, technology is killing its own technology.
Who are some of the artists that you've worked with in the past year?
In the past year, a lot of good new guys that I feel like gonna make some good noise. I'm sorry. I definitely who I've been working with a lot recently is the Island Gang guys, IG, you know, Leaky, Jay O'Neill, which has been dope because I've been able to really touch back into my Latin roots and really get down on some good Caribbean vibes with them.
Oh yeah.
You know, we got down on some real ATL trap shit, which is dope, and we got down on some Caribbean vibes. So, you know, that definitely makes me happy.
You're from the DR originally?
That's right, Dominican Republic.
Dude, what's
baby.
it like down there?
Dominican Republic is great, man. Caribbean paradise. You know, at the end of the day, it still is a third world country. So it has those struggles that come with it, but it's beautiful. Other people are beautiful, of course. A lot of my family still lives there. I have a lot of aunts and uncles and cousins that are there. Usually get to visit every year. And it's just beautiful, man. Like good vibes all around. Like from the moment you get off that plane and you smell that fresh Caribbean air, you're like, man, I'm about to have a good week. You know,
it's just
like,
different.
It's just, man,
Clean, clear water.
Mostly everywhere.
Okay.
You know, tourism does its thing, and you know brings in all these people in certain areas. You know, start getting beat up over time, but for the most part, it's very, very beautiful.
I think I remember you telling me about a sport that you guys play down there.
Yes, the urban sport. That's where where the name Vitillaz comes from.
Vitillaz?
Yeah. Vitillaz
tell
came
everybody
from
about that. Yeah,
the Vitillaz story. Vitillaz is a sport. It's like a urban street sport in the Dominican Republic that we play. Basically what it is, the big jugs of water that get delivered every morning to the different areas. We would take the cap off that big water jug and we would throw that like a baseball, and then we'll play with like big branches as baseball bats. So basically, we're playing like the ghettoest stick ball as possible, but instead of playing with a ball and like a stick ball bat, we're playing with a water jug cap and a branch.
And are these branches? They're not straight.
Some are, some aren't. You grab the best branch that you can find. You know what I mean? We're up in the mountains with it. But that's why, you know, we're the second highest the second highest race in professional baseball behind, you know, USA. And there's more American players than anybody.
Okay.
But that's why so many Dominican baseball players, because we grew up in such harsh conditions, you know, and you got kids that are just throwing rocks all their life from when they're little and doing what I was doing when I went to go visit my family, which is trying to hit this fucking mini frisbee with a branch, you know. So,
and that's how do you enunciate it?
Vitillaz.
Okay, cool.
Vitillaz, yeah. You can say it with a B a little bit, you know, if you really want to give it some slang, like Vitillaz.
And so, but like when you hear somebody from like Georgia say Vitillaz, it doesn't
it wouldn't translate too well. I mean, it doesn't translate too well if you do the double L Spanish thing, you know, the J thing. People say Vitillaz, you know, it's kind of like,
okay.
But it comes across a little bit easier and pronounced a little bit easier in English if I just say Vitillaz. Especially when I'm in the club and it's loud. People like, oh, hey, man, what's your name, you know? So I got to, you know, keep that in mind. So.
For the normies.
Yeah, for the normies, you know. And I understand, you know, we live in a day and age where, you know, music's fucking blasting everywhere. And, you know, people are like, huh? You know, when I'm in the club trying to tell them, so I try to make it as easy as possible for them. So that's all.
What are some of your favorite LPs? This is an easy question for me to answer because I have like a list of 100 favorite LPs from different artists and genres and times. I'm just curious.
Man,
what are some albums that you've rocked with?
Man, to be honest, when Jay-Z's, I'm pretty sure it was what Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life, was it Volume 2? Let me Google that to be sure, because it's either 2 or 3. I'm pretty sure it's just 2. That shit right there.
You talking about the Blueprint Part 2?
No.
It's not Reasonable Doubt 2.
No. Because after this album, like I don't know if where I kind of grew up musically. I don't say grew up musically or where I went musically, but I didn't like Jay-Z that much after this album. I don't know why. He did a lot of amazing stuff after that. I was like, wow, that's pretty dope. Yeah, Jay-Z Volume 2, Hard Knock Life. That's what it's called. Sorry.
Okay.
That was the album.
Is that a double album?
No, I don't think so. That's the album that is a hard knock life. That was on that. Can I get a what? That was on there. Crazy songs on there like that were just at the time for me like very advanced and not advanced, just very different. A lot of different production on there. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was young. I wasn't really thinking about like, yo, how do they fucking make this beat? My mind was nowhere near thinking about being a music producer at then. Then I wanted to be a baseball player. I was playing a lot of baseball, middle school and high school.
Okay.
And I think I just started skateboarding. But that album right there, like, and the only reason I heard that album was because at school I went to art class and someone had left it in a desk. And then I went home and I put that shit in and I was like, I already been familiar with Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? But I was able to hear, all the other songs. Then there was no streaming service, none of that shit. Where it's like, yo, this album dropped, you could just immediately preview it. It's like you would hear the songs that were on the radio, but there was maybe one that was rocking the radio for so long. Who knows when I would have heard the rest of these songs that were on that album, mm-hmm. which has some real like next level shit for that time. And that's always the point of making an album too, is like making next level shit. But like during that time, that resonated a lot with me. And what's more interesting is that now when I go back and hear when I'm older, I'm like, wow, some of these lyrics were so over my head at the time. And that's really dope to go back to some of your favorite shit and really like grabbing the lyrics, be like, wow, this guy was like talking about some shit that would, at that time I was like, this fucking beat's dope. Like this vibe is dope. Fuck what he's saying. But
now, there were no streaming services, but there were peer-to-peer networks, right?
There was, man. And
let's talk about that.
Yeah, we got to. And what's really interesting about that, and I have this little like house party thing, not house party. I have this monthly party I do, which is like, homage to like old school like Latin house party vibes. And as I was setting up the other day, and I was like thinking about it now, when I would go to those house parties in New Jersey, I was one of the guys that would bring some of the music, because this was like around like like little slightly post Napster times, because LimeWire, all that shit. Like not everyone had internet, not everyone knew how to do that shit, and I just did. So I was fortunate enough. My mom at the time, she got me internet, and I had a decent computer, thank God, because that's where I learned how to do so much shit. I was one of the few people that would bring music, because that's how we would rock out.
I got them MP3s, son.
Like 3, and who all my Jersey people, whoever my Jersey people they're watching, they would know, like, 2 or 3 or 4 of us would show up with a CD, and we would play that bitch on repeat all night, because that's all we had. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it was, we were young, we were like fucking 14, 15, 16, just playing music, dancing, no drinking, nothing, because, we'd be under the supervision of a friend's mom, but we were just having a good time, like good, clean fun, And man, we'll play a CD 10 times back to back. I kid you not, because that's all we had. And it was cool.
I miss those days a little bit.
Absolutely.
I really do miss the discovery aspect.
Man.
Because you could just type it. Because some of those were labeled wrong,
Man.
Some of those songs were called like Weird Al.
It's like you would, and think about it now, like the internet sensations of back then, who were, at that time, we didn't call them internet sensations, because it was all so new to us, you know what I mean? So it was like, Jerky Boys, all that shit, like Weird Al, like this shit is like, these guys were legit pioneers. And like, you just stumble upon like so much random shit. Like I first stumbled upon electronic music because of that, because I was able to, search like, Aphex Twins and the Chemical Brothers and fucking Prodigy.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard to get, this kind of music.
Oh yeah, like because you would have to import those CDs, or if your
like the
retailer
process,
didn't have the CDs.
Yeah, dude, like the process, like, now it's like it ain't shit. But then, man, like not everyone had a computer. Not everybody knew how to rip shit. Not everyone knew how to put shit onto the software so people can find it. Then a decent amount of people had to have it for you to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild, man.
Isn't it crazy that in that like 6 or really 5 year span, the industry just went to shit?
Bro. From the forge itself comes the handle for the axe, man. It's just crazy.
It's like the music industry ate itself or something.
It's exactly what happened. And still shifting rapidly. And I think what drives some people a little bit most crazy is that they don't know where it's going to go.
Oh, you're talking about like the big labels don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think hopefully there will be a shift in mindset as well with the coming years of how, within like proper and fair treatment. I think a lot of these big heads are holding on to like older ways.
Yeah.
That are not necessarily working for the new times.
Yeah. So
I hope there's a shift. I've definitely slowly been seeing a shift, but I hope there's a proper one. I
want to get your opinion about something.
Yeah.
Since we're kind of on this subject. Lil Pump.
Okay.
He's a artist.
Okay.
I think he's a recording artist.
Okay.
I think he's like a meme. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's this weird Lil Pump. He's like 18.
Yeah.
I don't really think he's a big deal, but he's got like 15 million Instagram followers, and his album just came out, and it's called Harvard Dropout. This is the follow-up to the self-titled album that had Gucci Gang on it.
Okay.
And Gucci Gang is actually the lead single on this
next
new album, right? So there's I didn't see that very often, but his label, or the label that he's on right now, was able to project X amount of album sales, and then the album comes out and it does like it underperforms basically.
Okay.
And so they were like, I'm sure they were disappointed, or the like Warner Brothers or whoever were disappointed, because they were like, look at this person with X amount of Instagram followers and he's got this huge social media influence. But I think these labels are starting to see that doesn't translate to album sales, right? And I saw that if you buy Lil Pump merchandise, they bundle a digital copy of the album with the t-shirt sale. And so they were able to actually inflate the album sales because of the merchandise, because he was also on tour. And it was something like 48,000 copies of the album sold, which is like nothing. And then it's inflated because of the t-shirt sales. And it's like, I think a lot of these larger companies, like, he was the experiment. I'm pretty sure they were like, all eggs in this basket, like Lil Pump's album is going to go through the roof. And I think I don't work for that label, but I had to sit down and I was like, wow.
Who dropped the ball?
His fans aren't really fans of his music. They're just fans. They want to see what he'll do next on the internet. They want to see what he'll throw out of a hotel room next. They want to see what he'll catch on fire next.
Right.
But they don't really fuck with his music.
Right.
And it's like a wake-up call almost.
I kind of agree somewhat. A lot of people fuck with the wave. They don't fuck with the water.
That's insane.
To
me, that's insane.
That's insane, but at the same time, I think, like, I've heard his music, and that's what it attracts. I feel like, it's super turn-up music. So I think what comes with that is not people who are like, yo, I'm here for fucking good music. Sorry, that's not. I don't say his music is bad, because that's.
We fuck with you, Pump. We're just, you're an example.
His music is good to me in certain situations. You're not gonna catch me casually, every day bumping Lil Pump in my car. Lil Pump, no. But if I'm in the club, if I'm in the club and I'm feeling saucy, I'm spinning, and someone requests like, y'all need to hear a Lil Pump, I get turned up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what it's for. And same thing. that's what it's for. You're not really attracting a crowd that's like, yo, I'm here for some really shit that's that has depth to it, you know. And along with that, you know, you got people who usually in that crowd, I think, aren't big money spenders as well. They know they can just. I think he has a younger crowd, to be correct.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're a little bit more tech savvy, they can get to that music and listen to that song that one time or whatever, you know, much easier than somebody who has the money to spend on music or is actually looking to, like, spend money on music.
That's a good point.
Know? That's how I see it off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because those streaming numbers were through the roof, but it's like it takes a different type of fan to go out of their way and buy your music versus stream it. Yeah. You know?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
like a completely different type of fan. That's somebody who's going to like go to your shows, buy your merchandise, support you any way they can versus like, I guess he does probably have a younger audience that just streams his music.
And like you said, like the numbers, you know, you say he has X amount of million followers. Well, how many of those millions are following him on Instagram just to see the turn up versus how many there because like, yo, they're really waiting on that album. You know what I mean? So
I was really standing on the sidelines to see what Harvard Dropout would do because it was hyped up so much, you know, and then just to see that first week album sales and me being like, that doesn't add up.
Yeah, man, album sales are tough this day. I think that's why a lot of artists work on, they've been recently working in like a very single bass format, like looking for that one smash and focusing on that and then finding another smash and focusing on that versus like, spending so much on this project and really trying to hype up the whole project when really what's going to happen is one song is going to blow all the other songs out the water in streams and you know that's like your lifeline until you get another one.
Why do you think the companies are still putting out albums in a single driven marketplace right now?
Probably because they're still trying to figure it out maybe.
Yeah.
And I mean there's still people out there putting out good albums
to tour with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it makes sense, but I think to make it really be like really dope and crazy, you need a more, I guess what you say, like an unorthodox approach, like something that's like fresh, something that hasn't been done before. Like, you know, things where like people be dropping albums with like no promo. You know what I'm saying? But it goes viral because people are talking about that. Like, yo, you know, I don't know if Beyonce did that or maybe Jay-Z. I know people have done that recently where like
they just drop.
They just drop. And
the
then,
word of mouth helps.
Yeah. Then people wake up the next day like, yo, you heard such and such. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thinking, like very not so straightforward. Or they'll
shoot a music video for every track on the album or something.
Yeah, shit like that. I think, you know, the way to make... See, here's the thing. The music business now has become less about the music. And it's a little unfortunate, but... It's about who can do something more off the wall and crazy that's going to catapult the music up there, you know, versus like, you know, a fake fucking incident or some shit goes down, you know, and it goes viral. Like, and a big part of that is, okay, trying to figure out how can I go viral and bring all this other shit with it. But that's how it goes. You know, it's not 100% necessary. There's ways to you know, to make it happen just by having a straight good product, but it's a little bit harder, unfortunately. Like I said, back to what I was saying before, is like, what are you gonna do to cut ahead of the mold? So maybe Lil Pump's approach of like, hey, making an album and putting a release date on it, maybe he needed more than that, you know, to really make it pop off the way they wanted to, you know?
Because, you know, I'm sitting here looking at the game go by, being like, what the hell is what's going to work?
Yeah.
People are asking me for advice all the time, and I'm just like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I think labels maybe had like a formula for a long time, and then, you know, as the years goes by, they're like, yeah, we kind of need to restructure this formula a little bit because things are changing, you know?
Yeah.
You know, similar to like, you know, the EDM community, you know, EDM artists work very off like a single based concepts, you know, like they'll sign away records, singles, you know, to different labels versus like, hey, I'm constantly trying to put out an album or an EP or whatever, you know. People, you just need that one thing to catch fire, then okay, you got to hold on to that until you find another thing that catches fire. very rarely nowadays we hear people say like, yo, this fucking album is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you usually hear people say nowadays, like, yo, this song is crazy. And that's how they latch on to you, you know? That's how it is, man. Times change.
I think it's really cool that you're in that industry and that
it
you're
is
like headstrong.
It is cool, man, but it could be frustrating. But at the same time, if it wasn't frustrating, there'd be even more people doing it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the trade-off, man. People want the glamour and the hype, but they can't deal with the frustrations, you know. And there's no telling what frustrations are gonna come, but they're always bound to come. And as long as you always know they're bound to come, you'll receive them a little bit better because you know they're coming, no matter what level you are. That's why, I give advice to a lot of producers, stuff like that. They're like, especially people that are starting out, they'd be like, hey, you know what, they just ask me just different questions, but I always remind them like, hey, man, you just started, like, you're about to be frustrated for a long ass fucking time, bro. Straight up.
Yeah.
It's
growing pains, right?
Man, I tell them, I was like, I honestly tell them, like, plan to be frustrated for a couple years, minimum.
While you figure it out.
Yeah, there's some prodigies out there, that just figure this shit out quick. Everybody's different. But for the most part, guess what, dude? It's gonna take just nights of just absorbing information, trial and error. Like, why this, why that, and those questions persist all the way up until you're famous and past stardom. It's like there's something new to learn every day, and there's always new frustrations that will come. Of course, with time and experience, you kind of know how to fight those on the way in. But I always tell producers, man, like, frustration is part of it, and it's never gonna stop. No matter how much you learn, you're always gonna be frustrated with something. You just gotta figure it out.
Who are some of these artists that you're listening to these days?
Man, I listen to a lot of different shit, considering, I also do a lot of, like, open format DJing. I listen to a lot of shit that sometimes I'll go through periods of time where I don't listen to shit. I'm just kind of focused on the different things that I'm doing and whatever sounds I'm trying to create. In times where I just kind of play catch up and kind of, listen to the radio a lot, see what's going on. So, all the guys on the radio now, I'm down with, sound cool to me. That's such a tough question to ask. I think about, like, all the stuff that's, like, in my music library, and my brain just goes like, whoosh.
Have you heard DaBaby? Have you been listening
to
DaBaby?
DaBaby is good. Honestly, his music doesn't resonate that much with me.
Okay.
But it's good product. I can appreciate it. I can put it out.
He's got some lo-fi beats.
Yeah, I could put it on. I could put it at a good value. It's just, and I can't tell you why exactly it doesn't. Now
he's rapping at you.
He's
like,
rapping
stop rapping at me.
No, I mean, I like what he's doing, man. Like, his media campaigns are dope. His videos are dope.
Yeah.
I like, that he kind of, he could have a song that's about some, like, real street shit, but the video isn't like a bunch of dudes standing around with guns, like in your face, pointing them at you. He's got some, like, good charismatic stuff in the videos that go along with songs that talk about, some not so, that are talking about some more serious things. So I think that's a cool little mashup. I like his approach to a lot of things. But, for example, like, I think I like listening to Lil Baby more. I like listening to DaBaby, even though they may be talking about similar subjects. I mean, I don't really do that much street shit. And, for some reason, I like Lil Baby more than I like DaBaby. And they're both talking about street shit, most of the time, I guess you can say. And there's no telling why. I guess it's like an apples and oranges kind of thing. But there's a lot of music I listen to. I hear it. And from a DJ perspective, I take music in on so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
I take it as a DJ perspective. I take it in from a producer's perspective. I take it in from an engineer's perspective. And a lot of shit, I'd be like, this was done right. You won't catch me listening to it on my free day, but yo, this is pretty tight. I guess the stuff you kind of do catch me listening to, on my free days is, I guess, shit that I'm not really doing all the time, like things that kind of give me a breath of, fresh air, which is like, like a weird instrumental mashup remix, that's got like no words, or, a house song that's got like 5,000 fucking plays. But
you're looking for these.
Yeah, or I'm just stumbling across them. I really like to pull inspiration from not so common sources. That's kind of my approach on that. But, you know, I'm in Atlanta. I hear lots of trap music, of course. I have my Vitillaz project, which is, you know, like the EDM, trap, and dubstep shit. You know, I hear a lot of that from places I spin. I have my house project too, so I'm listening to a lot of house music as well. You know, and then I'm still up in here in Third Eye, you know, making trap beats, you know, recording all these trap artists, getting everybody sounding right. So I go through so much different, you know, so much different kind of music throughout the span of my week. So honestly, since a lot of times I'm riding the car, I don't even turn anything on.
You know, it's funny you say
boom,
that.
Boom, boom, boom all the time. You know?
I've got a homegirl, Emma Danzak. She works in music. She's a viola player. She teaches viola. So her day to day, her job is music, and she'll get in the car with me and we'll go ride around and I'll throw something on and she'll be like, can you just not turn the music on? Can we just listen? Can we just sit here in silence? Because she's so inundated with music, and so that sounds like you're going through the same thing.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not like, you know, I get in my car and I'm like, fuck music, fuck all this shit, turn this shit. No, it's not like that. It's more like, you know, it's like, it's natural. You know what I mean? Like, same thing. You know, this reminds me of something else, which I'll go into in a second, but you know, you just got to turn it off sometimes and let your ears rest. You know, ear fatigue is a real thing. You know, I'm DJing pretty much, you know, every weekend, considering I have, like, you know, I'm doing so many different styles of DJing. So I'm booked at all these different parties. So I'm going through a lot with, like, you know, all the music that I'm taking in and people requests and stuff like that. And I was on the road. This is what this reminded me of. Okay. I was on the road in Florida with my buddy Scram. Shout out Scram, artist I work with. And we were driving somewhere. And I don't know if I was driving at the moment or what, but he, you know, they were like talking, everyone's like kind of having a good time, and, you know, we're just chilling, whatever, and we're driving somewhere, and he's like, he asked me something, and I think like it took me like a little time to respond. And he's like, yo, he's like, what's up? You like, you want to talk to us? And I was like, I hit my people limit, you know, cause like, and that's part of the, you know, the DJ thing too, is like, you know, I feel like I love the energy of, you know, being around people, and, you know, I'm not one of those people that when I take requests, I'm like, fuck off, you know, like, honestly, I like to listen to kind of where people's heads is at. You know, I'm taking the request. I might not play it, but every once in a while, someone will come with a request. I'd be like, man, I would have never thought about playing that. I'm gonna jot that down, and I might fuck with that. But at the same time, is like, you know, when I'm through, you know, talking to all these people every weekend and all the loud music, stuff like that, just gotta have some me time, no music, nothing like that, because I just, you know, you got to chill. You know, you got
give your brain a rest.
Yeah, man. You got to rest a little bit. It's important as well. So yeah, I have my music limit. I have my people limit every weekend. But hey, I'm still at it, baby. You know.
I think you and I can relate on the people thing. Like, because I do get a little over encumbered by people just running the studio and everything, and the cries for help and the fires that we have to put out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There is that, like, you know. The do not disturb sign is on.
Yeah. There's nothing like, you know, and I tell the artists I work with, I'll be like, man, like, I promise you, if you come in here alone, you'll do better. Because I've seen both sides of the spectrum. I've seen people come in to work on songs and have the studio fucking flooded with motherfuckers, you know,
packed.
And, you know, and they might bang out some hot shit. You know, it helps. Some people like it because it gives them like that, oh, you know, my niggas is here, you know, I'm about to go hard, you know what I mean? And that does work sometimes, don't get me wrong.
The energy in the room.
Yeah, but when you got an artist that comes through and he's just focused on that song, there's no one really else with the jibber jabbering, because when do motherfuckers pile up in the studio and not talk? Like, no, motherfuckers are going to be yapping and yapping and joning, and I get it.
Don't say that, man. Say this.
Yeah, and I get it, you know what I'm saying? You with your boys, you're kicking the shit, like everyone's feeling good in the studio and the vibes are good, you know what I'm saying? But it really, for the most part, it does hinder the creative process a little bit. Absolutely. So just a little suggestion, artists. Yeah, man, just keep it low key when you're in the studio and just focus on what you're doing. You'll probably get a better result. It's okay from time to time, you know, bring your homies too, but the less people, I prefer less people, because, like, man, I got no interruptions, no background shit going on. I hear 1,000% what's coming through the speakers.
Oh yeah.
And I can guide you directly. Yeah. Guide you better.
And, you know, artists, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how many followers you have on Instagram, it really just matters what comes out of those speakers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you need to be working as hard as you can to try and make the best song that you possibly can at that moment in time.
Yeah. Or you might have a little pump situation, where, you got all the followers and everything, but, your sales aren't looking too good. At the end of the day, he's probably not going to be, I don't know what his record deal is like or anything like that. I'm sure he'll be okay for the years to come, but, I'm sure someone's in the office, like, breaking the keyboard, like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro. So.
I'm doing that for that guy.
Yeah. It's a complex game out there, man, and you gotta be careful how you move.
Well, what do you say we get out of here and play some Apex?
Are you trying to play some Apex?
I mean, I think it's Apex o'clock
right
now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is Sunday.
Big Apex day.
Big Apex day. This is like, after you, I'm probably gonna hit my people limit. So I should probably go ahead and get back to the cave and just chill out. Play.
Well, before we get out of here, just because we've got the ears of everybody in the city and your entire fan base, let these folks know something, man.
Something. Oof. I mean, it's gonna be hot summer, but shit, kicking it off first. I guess this Thursday? No, not this Thursday. So the last Thursday of this month. When will that be? Got the Base Family and Friends party at a District nightclub. Let me look at my calendar real quick.
That's Chavez and crew, right?
That's right. It's with Base Family and Friends. I got some dope DJs on the lineup. I'm gonna be on the lineup as well. Kicking off some summer good weather vibes. Yeah, May 23rd. Sorry, that's almost a week from now. It's next Thursday. Come check me out over there. That's when I'll be kicking off some tunes, some good music.
Fire.
You can also catch me at Red Martini every Tuesday with my house project doing house music.
Okay, big house.
Yeah, big house. There's going to be a big festival this summer. I'm going to be on that as well. I'll let you think about it a little bit, but be sure to keep your eyes out for that. And every week, man, come check me out here at Third Eye. Come get recorded. Come get mixed. Come get produced.
Yes, sir.
Whatever you want to do. We could do all kinds of music, man. Ain't no limit. So that's what we got going on, man. A lot of music shit.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
Y'all make sure to pull up a new tab and follow Vitillaz on Instagram.
Yep.
We're about to get the fuck out of here and do the damn thing.
Yeah.
And thanks for tuning in. It's Vitillaz and Ben Scarborough sitting here at Third Eye Collective in the secret room, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
See y'all, man.
Peace out.
No sleep, I'd serve a junkie in the cool, yeah. Trying to find a time, chopping all the time, baby, come on, let